happy medium there or something. You know, if we had an obligation.
But we were talking at that point in time, a redevelopment project that had a value of something around $300 to $500 million. So when you begin to talk about those numbers, you know, it was a big number. And so if you were thinking about 300 million would generate about $3 million in TIF rev
Per
per year. Kind of gives you a perspective of what that original development
Those were
was.
wonderful days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There was commitments made at that point. So anyway, I think it's, you know, I know we need to wrap it up here in the next 15 minutes or so, but I think we need further discussion, I mean, on the intricacies of
You can
this.
continue this if you
Wait,
need to.
you good for now?
Yes, sir.
Don?
A few things. First of all, when we're looking at return on investment in any kind of land swap, we got to remember what our goals are. One thing, our goal was to be able to get the park land that we needed along the riverfront. So looking at a land swap where we started this thing, that seemed like a great idea, because another way we get return on investment is by putting those parcels back together. A, they go back on the tax rolls. B, because they're unified and have the ability to develop, the intrinsic value will drive development in and of itself. So there's something to be said by making this marketable, by making these parcels whole. We'll see some return tax base immediately.
We're on TV.
So there is, other than just the value of the land, which we do need to know because we have to have a benchmark moving forward, there's value in return on investment for us there also. Moving forward, and we're thinking 5, 10 to 20 years out, we also get return on our investment outside of Riverwalk because of the investments made in the area because of this development and returns on investment there. So there are a lot of ways that we can see return on investment for our money. I think what we have is a conflict between public sector, private sector thinking. We move at the speed of government sometimes, and that's not a good thing, because that's, to me, I call speed of government a turtle space. And we have to be methodical. There's no doubt about that. But when we move at a slow pace and we want to do a land deal, and the developer looks at it, it's like, well, great, we want to do a land deal. Now we got to think about what do we want to do with the land, so that we, if they don't have a purpose for the land, it doesn't make sense for them. So I understand why more components came into this than we asked for. So there's a private sector side of that, public sector, private sector. Public sector, we want to make this dumbed down, slow, and easy so that we can understand this, because this is not what I do on a daily basis. And I'm speaking for 57,000 people. I want to make sure I do a good job of this. So it has to be dumbed down to a certain degree, but they need to get their return on investment fairly quickly and need to know that we're moving in the right direction for them before they start doing things. I understand, I get that. So we kind of have a conflict of goals. I have read Ken's memo. I have read the RFP from the developer. I do think it's important that we actually hear it from him in his words and hear his presentation. So I'm going to, right now.
Yeah, let me ask, before I go to Bob, what is the current price of Seabird Island? 5, 6 million?
We haven't heard yet.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't heard.
I think it, I mean, you're almost, you could say, okay, give me $5 or $6 million. You go out and get Seabird Island. You got your riverfront park, and you got everything you want.
Mm-hmm.
Go, businessman, go have a ball down the rest of it. But anyway, Bob.
Let me take a different
See how
tack.
simple that is?
Yeah, until we start talking about mobile home.
I'm going to probably make Ted a little upset, because I'm not going to beat up government.
I've been there.
I'm going to beat up the private sector. My problem with this proposal is, somewhere down the line in the last couple of decades, we got in this concept called crony capitalism. And that is, the public sector takes the risk, the private sector takes the profits. Now, most businesses don't do this. In fact, one of the problems I have is equity. Mr. Galbraith is working and built a wonderful restaurant over there, pays taxes, and then we subsidize competition for him up the road a little. So there's an equity issue. My problem with this proposal, I have no problem with a land swap. I do have a problem with me making all of the agreements and all the promises and hooking the taxpayers onto a whole bunch of stuff for a development. I have no idea what it is, other than it may have this, this, and this in it. Don't know where it is. I don't know the square footage or anything. Anyone in the public sector that would agree to provide a blank check, you wouldn't do it in your own business. You would say, I want to see what you're selling me, what type of buildings are coming here, what type of businesses. I'm perfectly willing to make adjustments and to help, but I need to know what I'm helping. And what I got here is a land swap and a series of agreements that hook the taxpayers into cost of which we don't know what they are. And how could you ever do that? And that, I have a fundamental problem with this particular proposal. It's unacceptable. And the reason why we tried to do it, if someone would come in and say, I want to put a bowling alley here, and to put this bowling alley, I need this assistance, I can deal with it. But I can't deal with this because you're asking me to put infrastructure in that's somewhere between $1 million and this for this and this for that, and I don't know what I'm getting in return. So I have a fundamental problem with the whole ideology that lies behind this proposal. Ben?
Well, my idea would be, we got bad times, and we don't have, obviously, funding to pursue this on ourselves. My suggestion would be to freeze this thing for a year or two, and then get this fill you're talking about, that we have available, and start filling some of this land that we own, and start preparing it, and then down the road, in a year or 2 or 3, if we can't find a developer where we can own the land, like we always have said, if you don't own the land, you can't do anything with it. And that would be the case. Fill it, get it ready for sale, and either put it up for sale or as we're trying to develop it, get it to the point where it's more marketable than it is now. Right now, we've got 3 owners, and anybody that tries to develop something here has got to do 3 contracts on everything. It's not my idea of a way to do business. My suggestion is keep what we got, fill it, get it, make it appreciable in this cheap market, and then in a year or 2 or 3, go back at it and see if we can find a buyer.
We did not get an opportunity to hear back from the developer. I would request that we
can continue the
just continue this meeting.
Actually, you're scheduled for next Tuesday evening on the 3rd. The CRA is scheduled.
For what time?
Okay, you're scheduled inside the regular council meeting, but what's interesting is that council meeting is very, very short on agenda items.
Well,
Because we knew we were